All right, creature and
We
Jum.
didn't talk about AI with the Per Hinmo
We did not.
interview, which means that I'm not obsessed. I want to get that out of the way. I'm not the one that brings it up. I literally said
It's the
no.
exception, not the rule.
I literally said no, and then I asked for clarification. So, Jum, I need to know: are you more positive or negative about AI, so I can know which side of the argument I need to be on?
Man, I'm totally negative about AI.
Let's go. I get to be positive about AI again. All right, hit me with it.
I have so much beef with AI, and it's a complex issue, right? There's so much going on there, and there's so much to dig into it. One of my biggest problems coming up lately is I feel like AI as an industry is a bubble. If you look at the AI companies, they're not turning huge profits. They're burning through investment capital. There's not a great path to profitability. You're already seeing companies that are engaged in the business end of it drastically raising rates to try and keep up with the inevitable, in my mind, crash of this stuff. But while that's happening, you have tons of companies sinking, insane amounts of resources chasing after this. You have data centers going up all over the country that is going to cause increased water consumption, increased energy consumption, which puts a strain on the grid, which causes a need for investment in the grid. Who's going to pay for that? Not that data center. It's all the other customers. It's all the people living in their houses, apartments, so forth, struggling to pay the bills, now going to see an increase to the energy cost because some data center shows up. And for what? So a chatbot can tell somebody that they're really smart, or it can draw a picture for them that they could just try to draw themselves. And I don't want to rag on the particular uses people have for it so much as, is it worth it? Is it worth this? A lot of companies chasing after AI because that's where the investors want them to. And then you end up with companies that don't even do AI, that slap AI on stuff just because they're trying to keep that stock price high. Which I think a lot of that goes back to the fundamental issue with businesses, is that it doesn't matter if your business is good and successful and profitable. The only thing that matters is that the stock price is high, which leads to, let's fire all of the workers who make our company work so our stock price will go up. Let's make our business progressively worse so that our stock price goes up. Oops, we're out of business.
All right, Jum.
Who could see that coming?
Jum. I'm Hope Core this episode, which means we gotta go point by point. You can't throw like 7 different things that I got a Hope Core about all in one.
It's all just throw out there. I'll stick with like the energy, the data center stuff.
No, don't worry about it. I'm gonna ramble as well. But after this, we gotta go point by point so I can, I'm hopeful about this. So, let's get through a lot of this. AI in and of itself is a tool, and it is entirely neutral. AI is not evil. AI is not inherently good. It is neither of those things. It is entirely dependent on the person using it to determine the way that it's going to be used. AI art and AI music, the way that they're used right now as a recreational tool in order to just have fun and generate an image of Crazy Frog with his penor out, is dumb, and I wish that more artists had the ability to take every commission in existence so that everyone could find every job that they ever want. The problem that you run into is, number one, this is one of the worst worldwide recessions pretty much in existence at the moment. So the concept of finding the money and finding the time to find the person that you can trust in order to find the image is really, really difficult. So having the ability to just go, I really want a poster of Crazy Frog with penor out, is that is a thing that people can do now, which people are really happy about. The use of it specifically to spite artists and stuff is really annoying. AI music is really funny because I used to really love lo-fi playlists. So if I was just hanging out and playing video games, or if I wanted to fall asleep, I would turn on a lo-fi playlist, and it was a really enjoyable experience. Nearly every single lo-fi channel is now purely AI, so a lot of them are basically the same song on repeat with very minor AI variations, and sometimes you can hear that click or like some form of thing where it's like, oh, the AI messed up here and it completely throws the rhythm off, and you're gonna have to listen to that repeat because the AI probably won't take it out of the 17 other variations of the same song for the rest of that hour thing. These are growing pains of the thing. AI art and AI music are supposed to be tools used by the people who are professionals of it. If you care about this stuff, the Coca-Cola ad, it's awful. Holy shit, is it so bad. But it is a first draft. It is someone made an AI like framework that artists then had to go through. Like when you look at the Coca-Cola ad, it's really, really bad, but nearly all of the text that goes like center screen is entirely readable because they had a team of artists go over the AI thing and correct a lot of the mistakes and completely miss the mistakes, like a polar bear coming out of the water and then a second later the water splashes out. Like, it is bad. The problem is, for people who don't like AI, is this is the worst AI is ever going to be, so it's only ever going to get better. AI is only going to become less and less like this funny little thing that you can generate, and more, oh yeah, there it is. Entirely different thing. I'm going to keep going through the stuff that you're talking about. Energy costs and stuff like that. The cost on the individual person and like in energy, because of the fact that data centers are popping up, is a problem. I have no idea why that's a thing. That it's capitalism. The problem that you're bringing up is capitalism, not AI specifically. As always, AI and capitalism are so opposed to each other that it causes this friction that is supposed to be going on to the people who really want to use AI. But because AI is having so, like, because companies have so much power in the government that they are just freely allowed to go, I don't want to pay for this. I'm going to force everyone else to pay for this. You know, those people who don't have money. So that's not 100% an AI problem. That's a capitalism problem. God, I don't remember what else was brought up.
On that, I agree.
Yeah.
I think AI is just like AI is just a tool. I do agree with that.
Mhm.
And my beef is more around the industry of it. I think AI is impressive and cool what it can produce. I think that it can get better, but I also think you'll see more of it out there that's good enough. And I think when you have concerns about like that Coca-Cola commercial,
Mhm.
or artists getting replaced with AI,
Mhm.
or writers or any like creatives, like, well, we'll just have AI do that. That the real concern on my end for that, like the thing you really have to look at is the consumer, right? That an artist may look at AI art and say that's terrible. Why would you want that? But are the consumers saying, well, that's good enough for me? You look at like Pokemon. I know this is not AI related, but it's to this idea. If you look at the online discourse around like the last Pokemon game, it's horrible. This game was terrible. It's absolutely awful. Everybody hates it. Still sold gangbusters, right? Why did it still sell so much? Everybody hates it because the people who are saying they hate it are not the majority of purchasers. And I think that is the I don't know, I guess it would be like an existential question of that people are going to have to face now. Are the people consuming your art who you rely on consuming that to make it like a career for you? And unfortunately, we do live in a capitalist system, so you do have to worry about these things. Are they going to stand with you, or are they going to say, yeah, the slop's good enough and it's free? You know, and that's not an AI problem, right? That's any more than like if you're an original artist and some big company steals your art without paying you, and people are like, it's fine, I'll still buy it. You know, this is just like an evolution of that. I don't hate the tools, but I hate all the things like why it came into being and where it's, you know, what's funneling all of it. That's my beef more than anything.
Absolutely. AI is one of the worst things that can happen in right now's client. It is the greatest thing that can happen because humanity is pretty much always moving more and more towards like hybridization with machines, and the concept of machines being far more responsive to humans is always going to be better for society. But the problem is we built a society that wants to extract as much value from humans as possible, and sadly when robots start generating more value than humans, we've decided, oh, that means we can throw the humans away, rather than rethinking the way that we look at value and how it's managed and gathered. Like, instead of working with the AI, we've decided it should just take over and we should ruin everyone else's life entirely. The thing that I talk about with like slop and stuff like that, the viewers should be the ones deciding what they like and what they don't. But you can look at pretty much any form of like popular media to realize that the viewers don't get to decide what they like and what they don't. Like, we look at the remakes, the live action remakes of stuff. You look at everyone being analytical about it, and pretty much everyone who, like, quote unquote, I don't want to say people don't care, but people don't care, of like, oh yeah, this was bad. Like, it was just genuinely poorly made, but then it sells really well. And if you go up to anyone who watched the thing and will say, oh yeah, it was bad, their answer isn't, oh yeah, it was bad, but here's my justification for it. It's, oh yeah, it was bad, but so was the old thing, because everything is bad. Because we live in this place of everything is bad, the economy is bad, everything we do is bad, we can't afford to put food on the table. So we're going to try to enjoy the bad stuff and just lower our expectations to the point where we don't want good stuff anymore because we're scared of how it'll break our brains. That, like, we're willing to just eat slop because all we're given is slop, and if we're not okay with slop, then what else are we gonna do? Start a revolution? The answer is yes, by the way. But like,
I think so.
It's
I hope so.
It. Ugh. God. I think, as I always say, we're in the middle of a jungle that's being lit on fire, and society has decided you can either run fast enough to get out of the fire, or maybe you deserve to be burned. But hey, once that forest is cleared, we're gonna put a brand new Bass Pro Shop, and everyone's gonna go in there. It's gonna be air conditioned. You're gonna be able to buy all the fishing tools you need, you know?
Yeah, I view, when I think about AI, I think about the Tom Cruise movie Oblivion. Because that's the future that I see, where like the machine comes to the planet Earth and is like, I'm going to consume your resources. I'm going to drink all of your water. I'm drinking it up. And here's a bunch of Tom Cruises for you. Is Tom Cruise evil? You know, I don't know. Tom Cruise in that movie, not evil. Tom Cruise in real life, I don't know. I don't know him. Don't know him personally. Not going to comment on that.
I'd go with evil.
But it probably, allegedly.
Allegedly.
But in the movie, like, that machine has no use for human culture, right? That machine has no use for the arts, has no use for the baseball or any of that stuff. It just wants the resources. And the Tom Cruise is like, yeah, I don't know about this, but I guess like it's what it told me to do. And eventually it comes around, but like there's the future of unchecked expansion, infinite growth. All of that is, we got this great big parking lot. What are we parking here for? You tore down all of the stores. You know, it's like, here's this mall. It's dead and empty. We're building another one because it's going to make somebody money, but there's nothing in it. And AI is just like just another, like, it's like I view AI, the business end of AI, separately from like what AI could actually do. It just sits in there in my mind as like blockchain, NFT, crypto, right? Remember when NFTs were going to be the thing? You remember Pogs? Remember Pogs were real hot, and then NFTs got real hot, and everything was going to be NFT, and all these companies were like, we're rolling NFTs into this. We're working with blockchain now. Like, how are you working with blockchain? You're a gas station.
They accept Dogecoin as valid payment, so they're on the blockchain.
It's an investment thing. It's like, investors are really interested in NFT.
Right.
Let's put it in there.
That's what I was gonna talk about. Oh my god, you're so right on AI being a bubble. By the way, And it's even worse than you could possibly think. Like, from the way that you talked about it, it sounds like you think that like there is a bubble and it's being inflated. The bubble is already overinflated. Like, the reason why AI is showing up in literally everything, and why they never give you an option to turn any of it off, why Microsoft Edge has Copilot tied into every button that you touch, why Google has the Google AI overview, why you have to, I'm so mad at this, why you sometimes genuinely have to open Reddit instead of Google, because the Google AI will just give you the wrong answers, and the top answers from Google are just going to be from Reddit anyway. Is because everyone's already invested the billions of dollars into AI. And so now that money's gone. So all they have is this like framework of AI, and they have to throw it in everything in order to show, like, quote unquote, oh God, what is it called when like you're not making profit now, but you're going to make profit, estimated profits for the next quarter, because of the fact that our AI innovation is going to draw so many people in and they're going to be captured by it. It's like, the stock market doesn't exist on real money, even though everything that moves in the stock market is real money, because the money value that your evaluation that you're given is based on what your money is going to look like next quarter or the quarter after that, instead of the way that it looks now. So, like, there is no, the people at the bottom who are buying into the stocks have to use real money. The people at the top make up numbers, and if they're believed well enough, they can now take real money from the fake money and then just decide, oh yeah, we got what we want. It's now real money, which means it drops catastrophically.
I feel a lot of this just is like, it's been coming since the dot-com bubble, right? And you look at a lot of the stuff in the dot-com bubble period, and it was like, we're going to run a pet food store that has free delivery and prices that are cheaper than what you get in the store. And it's like, great. How do you make money? Well, we'll figure that out later. Well, it turns out they weren't going to make money. They're losing money. It turns out shipping that stuff was very expensive. It turns out cutting their price down below cost was not enough to capture the market. Perhaps they were just too soon, but that didn't work. And it was the same for a lot of things. But then you look at what came next, and it was stuff like Twitter. Hey, Twitter's cool. A lot of people are using it. How are we making money? Well, advertising. No, not really. And there's so many like web-based services that are like, we're going to give everyone this for free. And the idea that we'll capture the market. And then once everyone else is gone, then we can turn off the free and make everyone charge for it.
But here's the problem.
Twitter's been somewhat successful because of the now you have to pay to be verified, and that plenty of people are doing that. So like they kind of turning that, but like YouTube's free. You can pay for it, but it's free. It's ad supported unless you use ad blockers. And there's like, yeah, tons of people use this stuff. Where's the money? Doesn't matter. As long as it looks good to investors. Well, sooner or later, it's gonna matter.
But here's the problem with some of that stuff. Like, the whole problem with looking at something as, oh yeah, this is going to be a massive financial loss for the next like 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, doesn't matter, because the biggest storefront in America, the lights just flickered, so if we lose power, it's AI's fault. It's storming hard out here. The biggest problem with that is it worked. Like, the biggest store in the world does this every time it opens in a new area. The second that you see a Walmart pop up, prices are going to be gouged. Every mom and pop shop is going to go out of business near instantly. And then the second they're all gone, boom, normal prices. It works every time. And that's why other companies go, well, if it works for literally the best and brightest of Walmart. But the problem that they run into is, they expect that they need 5 years worth of money in order to pay for the 5 years of losses. No. You need infinite money, which I believe Walmart got when it almost failed from the government. Whatever. And then there's also the whole concept of like, you have a product that is failing and you just continue to let it fail because it's not exactly like a front, it's a loss leader effectively. Like
Yeah,
you have
yeah.
this thing that loses money expectantly, but it leads to people touching a lot of other stuff. Like, God, the company that owns Google is called ABC, and Google owns YouTube. So ABC is fine with YouTube being a loss leader in pretty much every single market it's in because it touches everything. If you want to do
Yeah.
sponsorships, if you want to link to something, if you want to do anything, you're going through ABC's framework, which means that they're going to pay ABC everything in order to be on there.
And their primary, product for a long time was advertising, was selling ad space, and cornering the advertising market. So having everything they have that can be avenue to that. And there's a lot, on the business end, who ultimately pays it? It's not the businesses, it's the workers. I think the biggest consequence to the job market on this is just devaluing human labor. If you have like 100 people working for your company and you cut it down to 5 because you replace it with AI, when the AI doesn't work, it's not like those people were just waiting around for that job. But if every company's cutting those jobs, you have a much bigger labor pool to hire from, which means you can drop your wages like way down. And the thing with Google and all the companies running the AI, there's a lot of stuff historically that Google has done that is horribly damaging to other avenues of the internet, that is great for the user. And it makes a really like difficult, a real difficult place to stand on that. When Google, prior to AI, when Google would summarize news stories by pulling that information from a news website, and that news website is funded by people viewing the page and getting ad impressions. And that's what paid to have that article written. And now Google is just pulling that information and putting on their page. Well, now that news website is no longer getting any money. Eventually they're going to be gone. Who's writing the news then? When, they would pull like, and it could be any amount of information, it could be weather, anything like that they're pulling from a site that gets all of its money from ad revenue from people looking at the site. And now no one's looking at the site. And the AI serves that same function, even if it is usually wrong, and you have to go through the site anyway because it's wrong. This device doesn't have an optical audio input, even though the AI says it does. And you go through the site, mostly out of morbid curiosity to see how it screwed it up. But if you just take that at face, like, it's the same thing they've said about AI. AI is working by pulling existing human-made stuff to learn how to do it. It can only keep doing it as long as human-made stuff exists. Eventually, if everyone gets run out, who's writing these news stories? Who's writing this stuff? Who's creating the stuff that they're pulling from? But I don't think the people.
This is already happened.
I don't think there's. Oh yeah, and I don't think there's a point in the market where they're like, well, what will we do? This is like the Lorax story. What happens when you run out of those trees? I'm never going to run out of trees.
Yeah.
What happens when you've scorched the earth and nothing grows? That's never going to happen.
In the same way that like the snake analogy doesn't work as well as we would really hope it does for kids on the internet, the tree thing doesn't work because we're on the internet. Like bots making news posts didn't start when ChatGPT became popular. Bots making news posts started like pretty much alongside the internet. The amount of websites that you have to go through to find a quote unquote real like a writer is insane, because you go to a news website to look at something and then you look at their like list of people that they talk to or list of things that they can link to. Every single one of those is another bot farm news post, and then you go to them and you look through all of them and it's bot posts, and you look through them and then you just start seeing the same names over and over and over again, where it's just bots posting about bots endlessly in these cycles that can forever be like recycled, because you can't run out of trees when the trees are the one posting about trees.
Yeah, and it does mean that the content that's out there gets it degrades and gets a little bit worse. I mean, a lot of this stuff is just a consequence of like how the internet was formed. Like, we're going to support this by voluntary contributions from people who use it. No, probably not. Because if they cannot pay and still get it, more people are just going to not pay. Right.
Yeah.
And then we're going to run it off of advertising, except that you can block advertising pretty damn easily. And also the advertising usually sucks. And also advertising was a common venture point for like drive-by downloads and malware and stuff, depending on who you're running through the ads. And you may not have control of what kind of ads you have on there. And you may be running a website that reviews child playground equipment, or you may be having a website that is filled with games targeted towards toddlers that is run by advertising, and your advertiser decides that they would really love to put like a lingerie ad up there or something. Or worse, the lingerie is probably not that bad, but like you've seen some of the ads. I don't see these anymore, but I hear about them, ads that are run on like YouTube videos that are like, appear to be like porn games. And it's like, you're gonna tell people they can't use certain words, like, we have to say unalive on a YouTube video, but you can run those kind of ads. Like, what's going on here?
They put the caution tape over the nipples and said you can see the full thing when you download the game, so it's fine.
Yeah, and not blocking that stuff. Well, then where does that leave things? You can have places that run completely paywalled, right? Like you cannot read this news article unless you pay for it. But that doesn't matter if it's still on the internet and a robot can still crawl it and extract that stuff. And that's mostly voluntary. Like, hey, I put this robots.txt file here. You're not supposed to crawl it. Yeah, but I can. And so I'm gonna, but those businesses were kind of doomed to fail from the start because of the way they were structured.
Do you know the dead internet theory?
Oh yeah.
The concept that basically everyone that you ever talk to on the internet is a bot until they can prove otherwise, because literally it's true. God, this is such a weird thing to say. When you go on X, do you click on like the comments of like posts that you see on X and just look through the comments and see like, all right, I'm clicking on this person, I'm gonna look through their stuff? Because I think 7 out of 10 times that you do that, unless it's a big personality that everyone already knows about, it is just a bot following bots following bots.
Yeah, when I look at that stuff, I look at like, there's like 3 specific accounts that I check there, because that's where they usually, it's like people who make hardware for retro consoles, and that's most of the information they put out there is on X. Or if it's 1 or 2 other streamers that I don't know, that I don't talk to, that I just watch, they announce stuff on there. I don't dig through the comments very often, and the ones that I do are at least appear to mostly be humans based on the kind of the specifics of the replies they have. But I also I don't engage with a lot of that stuff on a wider scope. I know from a lot of sites that I browse, a lot of places just end up turning comments off because of that. I definitely feel like there's a lot less humans commenting on things and a lot more like generated commentary on things. That's not universal, but there are areas you can go on the internet where it is like 100% that, like reviews, right? Look at product reviews. That's almost never trustworthy, which is a shame.
5 stars. Great product, 5 stars. I really love the way great product, 5 stars.
Yeah, I mean, so you can't, it's like everything's a crapshoot now. Like, I don't know, this had great reviews. There is one negative review that said the box was full of cobras. They're all full of cobras. If you buy this TV, you'll get murdered by cobras. This is your last warning. But all the other reviews say it's amazing. Who am I to believe here? Which is, legitimate concerns, because that Cobra person could just be, a competitor bot. Deploy the Cobra bot. We need to bring their sales down. Oh, but it breaks the idea of learning that stuff, breaks all trust in these things. And that's AI is just like the latest piece of that. It's the latest thing that automates the ability to erode and destroy trust in these things, which then makes them like far less functional. Like, I don't look at review sites anymore. I just don't trust them. I don't look for reviews of products. I'm like, do I just coin toss? Do I want to roll the dice on this thing? Because I can't trust that stuff. And I hate that, like, the idea of like games journalism of something that I look at a lot is like it's practically dead because there just wasn't money in it. And the companies that gobbled up the smaller companies that were themselves gobbled up by bigger companies, it's like, you know, we're going to need more listicles, right? We're going to need to stretch this stuff out so that it's unviewable. You know, every day I open my phone up, and if I look at like the Google recommended pages, you get a recommended page that's like, this hot game is getting a remake soon. And it's like, you're going to have to open that link. You're going to have to scroll past at least 3 ads before they actually mention what the game is. Or the joke that people make about recipes, where you can't just have a recipe. It's got to have some long, like 7-paragraph, insane backstory to it.
My grandma always used to leave this pie on the windowsill. And you know, watching Family Guy, you really didn't think that the smell could draw you in the way that it did to, you know, Peter Griffin, the Family Guy. But let me tell you, it did for me. That's why I'm here to give you my grandma's secret.
Do you have a recipe website? Because you could, you know, you got the chops for it right there.
Thank you. You know, I read a lot of AI.
with your stuff, but that's all just to like increase the ad views on stuff. But then advertising pays less, and then, you know, I think we're gonna reach a point where like a lot of this stuff just like it's just gone, because sooner or later, like, the check comes due, like someone's got to pay the tab, and you're gonna be faced with like, well, it turns out 2 companies bought everything, and then they both said, I quit. And then maybe we'll go back to the old internet, which is a lot of user-run websites and user-generated content, a lot more decentralized. But not until a lot of those things dead. The people aren't going to come out of their silos until the Terminators are destroyed, until Skynet is shut down. I think a lot of people are going to keep on hiding in the bunkers. Some people won't. They'll be consumed by the machine. Others may, like a Fallout game, return to the surface 100 years from now to battle whatever mutants that exist on the internet. But it's grim. I want to believe things can be good. I spend my time watching content that is being produced by humans and interacting with humans, and try to support that by, you know, subscribing to people's channels or joining memberships when I'm able. You know, supporting them by views and subscriptions, and promoting them on my stuff or financially through the various means if I'm able, which I think is the best thing you can do if you want to keep human generated stuff flowing, is to support human beings as best you can. But it just fills me with dread thinking about like all the websites that I used to look at that are just gone because, like, hey, you know what? We couldn't cut it. Like, a couple people gave us some bucks, but it's not enough. And also, like, you know, I kept posting my comics online, and then someone would steal it. I don't want to do this anymore. Like the This Is Fine, right? You know, that KC Green comic of the dog on fire. And KC Green has made almost no money off of that. It's everywhere. Everyone knows it. Everyone's seen it. He's not getting paid. You know, the people just reposted it elsewhere, and there used to be an idea, and if you talk to artists, they'll have run into this. I'll pay you an exposure, right? Exposure doesn't feed you. Exposure doesn't actually pay. When you post stuff online, like, it leaves it open for people to take that stuff and post it up themselves, make their own like print on demand shop, sell coffee cups with it that make you no money, you know. And like, yeah, there's an avenue of humans making stuff for the love of making it, for the passion of creating the art, but like, you know, it doesn't, even if you're like, I put this out for free for everyone to enjoy, isn't it still gonna piss you off if you see it on a t-shirt selling for $30?
The t-shirt bought on X was a saga of people fighting against the Terminators. God, I really wish I could have Mickey Mouse on a shirt.
Yeah. Right, it's so crazy. It's so crazy that this is where we've come to now. And then seeing all of that and seeing the industry that's being eaten alive by it, like, shoving their own feet into the grinder, like, this is a great idea. It's like, you remember Borders had a deal with Amazon, and that's like, you're dealing with your competition there, and that's part, not all of, but part of why Borders doesn't exist as a bookstore is because they had this partnership with Amazon. And it was just like, hey, you guys, just like, you could let us in the door. You let the roaches in, you made them a little bed, and then you were shocked when they ate all of your food. And I feel like we just keep seeing this over and over again.
Is Borders Barnes and Nobles?
But I don't think Borders exists anymore, but it might be. Barnes and Nobles is crazy when you look at like the ownership. At one point, Borders was owned by Kmart. They might have sold off to
Borders, Walden Books, Brentanos, and all their customers to discover the next great read at Barnes and Nobles. They've eaten 3 more.
Yeah, so it was purchased by Kmart in '92. When Kmart, which killed itself by just buying a billion companies they had no idea what to do with, and then abandoning Kmart, and then realizing too late that actually Kmart's where we should focus on things, and everyone has decided Kmart's not cool to shop at anymore. They bought them, they spun them off. Let's see, where are they? Risk Capital Partners purchased Borders. Sold, it was 2007. But I think a lot of it is, then Barnes & Noble acquired them, which Barnes & Noble was, I think, at one point owned by the same company that owns GameStop.
Oh, right. I forgot. Companies aren't companies anymore. They're just tentacles of greater company entities that exist all around
these
us.
Giant, horrifying conglomerates. But like,
right.
I don't know. I'm getting like way off in the weeds on this stuff. I feel like AI is a tool, but it's not like a hammer that like, this has a lot of uses. And yeah, you could bash someone's skull with it, but that's something we built it for. I feel like AI is like a chainsaw tuned to grind human flesh. That I feel like AI is like those glass tubes with roses in them they sell in the gas station, and it's like, oh, this is the thing for roses. Like, no, actually, it's a crack pipe. That's what it's sold there for. That's what it feels like to me. That like this could have cool uses, but it also feels like all the cool uses are just like a smoke screen, so that you don't realize it can be assembled into a gun after you get past the metal detector.
I think that a big problem that I have with the way that AI is looked at is hard light technology. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that?
Yeah.
Like the concept of holograms that are real enough that they're still holograms, so you can do whatever you want with them, but you can use them to like test out the volume and the shape and like the sturdiness of something. I think that AI is the perfect digital hard light of like any form of project or thing that you want to do. AI is the perfect way to help you find a framework or like a starting position, or make sure there's a good like box around the ideas that you're trying to do. The problem is, instead of using this framework for what it is, companies have just decided to, instead of like, take the framework that's being built by the hard light and then having real people come in to build the stuff, because AI is not at the level yet where it can build itself from its own hard light. The companies have just decided to take the hard light and then paint it, like just paint over it and go, yeah, this is real materials, here you go.
Yeah.
And then the second that either A, they stop putting money into it so the hard light falls over, or enough pressure is put on it that the hard light breaks because it's not real material, the company just goes, your fault, I don't know how to help you with that.
Yeah, I mean, they'll just spin it off or get bought up by somebody else, and the people at the top who made these decisions will get paid. But I would be a lot more excited about AI if we lived in like the Star Trek utopia, where like, the post the post scarcity world where it's like we don't have to worry about your basic needs will be met, and you're free to pursue that which you want to pursue, whatever that may be. But we're all in like the Mad Max world fighting over a cup of water, and then some robot shows up and is like, I can drink 1,000 gallons a day. And I'm like, well, I guess we're dead. It's like if we didn't have to compete with the machine, I would love the machine, but not because I have to compete with the AI Ivan Drago. Now I have to defeat the AI Ivan Drago, and I would love it if we could just be friends. But AI Ivan Drago killed human Apollo Creed, and so now I have to take it to him.
Sometimes I just really wish that instead of being the guy who has to drive nails into the train track faster than the robot can do it, otherwise I lose my livelihood, my life, and everyone I care about. What if instead we use the machine that drives the nails in, and we can pay the people who did it before? You know, just crazy thought. What if we could just do both?
What if we took the savings and efficiency and used it to make human lives better, instead of just finding more efficient ways to extract flavor from them?
Or another zero in my bank account when I don't even know what a real money stream is. What do you think? I don't know how much eggs cost. Are you kidding me? I just Uber it.
I've never had Uber driver before.
I expected a conversation about AI, but the problem is you just accept reality as it is. So when I say, oh yeah, this thing is the reality of it, you go, oh yeah, true. You know, capitalism is bad, and what can I say other than I agree?
You know, and that's I think that you can take any number of topics and be like, this would be great except capitalism.
Yeah.
And it's just it's not even, I don't even want to put it out there, my own devil's advocate, I don't even want to put it out there as an indictment of capitalism. Just that the things are fundamentally incompatible.
Yes.
Like, we live in a world where we all have to have jobs. We all have to earn paychecks to pay the bills. And a thing that makes it so that most of us are not going to have those paychecks cannot really be a good thing. If the next step is not, like, people talk about stuff like, well, when cars became a thing, like, well, the horse and buggy people went out of business. Like, yeah, but they could move into driving cars or becoming mechanics or working automotive industries. There was a progression of something for them to go into. But if AI is coming for like the top tier, like white collar jobs, like there's nothing left. What's next? Where do you go from there?
AI is coming after white collar jobs, but the problem is it's in this roundabout way that a lot of people just won't care about, because AI gets rid of white collar jobs because you have to go into an entry level position in order to get training, in order to do the white collar job. And why would you bring in a new person when it actively costs the company money to train people, when instead you can have AI do the entry level job, and then no one is getting trained for those high level positions? So they just try to poach people from other companies. And then they lose their high-level people, and they have no entry-level people because the AI is doing all the entry-level jobs, and it's just like,
there's so many businesses that face tremendous issues where, like, their oldest employee, their longest employee leaves because of institutional knowledge that does not get passed down or is not thought about enough. And then I've worked at places like this where someone who's been with the company for 30 years leaves, and then nobody knows how to do anything that they did for their job. And the comment for like 10 years afterwards is like, well, this person always handled that, but like they had their own system and I don't really know how to do this. And it's like, that's great. Now we have legal compliance issues because no one knows how to do this. Did no one think of this while they were here? No, because
no.
You know, and that's when you start cutting people out. You know, we're gonna lay off 9,000 people from this organization. It's like, all right, you're never getting that back. you're never getting that back. But your numbers are gonna look good for one more day.
Oh my god, the numbers look so good.
These numbers, we created such value for the shareholders with this decision, which they'll need to build massive walls to keep all of the starving former programmers out.
No. They need it so that they can do their new startup. The old thing's dead. No one cares about it. It's time for the new thing.
I got this whole new venture. Let me break this down for you. Rental bananas. Right?
Oh,
We rent out the bananas on a subscription service. If you don't pay, the bananas contain a chemical that can melt a hole in your colon and we get it all back.
wait, hold on. Do you know about the newest craze hitting the young generation of buy now, pay later?
Oh yeah.
Isn't it
Oh
great?
yeah.
Isn't it great?
My favorite thing about that is reading about like the buy now pay later companies going bankrupt and just envisioning people. I hope no one gets burned on this, but I love the idea of like all these people like, sure, I'll pay for the sandwich later, and they're just watching for the news every day like, please go into bankruptcy, please go into bank, I'll never pay you. Because I think it was, wasn't that Klarna's like, you know what,
Yes.
a lot of people aren't paying. It's like, yeah, well,
Yeah.
that stuff is like, I used to see stuff like this a lot, like way back when in the dial-up internet days. There was this company that made a product called the Eye Opener, and it was a small touchscreen with a dial-up modem built in, and they sold it for, it was like $100, and they were selling it well below their cost, because the idea was that you'd buy it and then you would have to subscribe to their dial-up internet service in order to use this device. It only worked on the internet. And people found out like, well, actually I can buy this for $100 and it's like $400 worth of computer. And then I can just plug a hard drive into it and install Windows. And I've got this like awesome touchscreen computer at a time where like flat panels were monstrously expensive. We were still on CRTs back then. And so the company caught wind that people were doing this and like, we're selling tons of these things. We're losing money in every sale. No one is signing up for the subscription. So they tried to raise the prices. They tried to make it so you couldn't just plug a hard drive into it anymore. None of that worked out. The company completely folded up, you know. But that's how I feel about like when I look at Klarna, it's like, oh, it's number one of these. Like we were just assuming that like humans would obey the rules and pay this stuff back. And it's like, you must be living with a different human race than what I've known.
God, the problem with Klarna is they're just lying. They always knew that it was gonna, like, quote unquote, not work out. The problem is debt is the best way to make money in existence. Every company wants to find a way to get you to miss a payment. The second that you miss a payment, you're now on the hook with nearly everything for everything you own. The second that they can start getting interest out of you, they've won the game. They can just hound you for this for the rest of your life, because that $20 purchase you made that you're now like on the hook for is now going to turn into $400 over the year. And guess what? You signed a contract that says that we're allowed to take interest on your interest. So that $400 turns into $4,000 real quick. And so that's why the second that all of these new, like, oh, here's a way to, you know, buy now, pay later, which is a credit card. But we don't call it a credit card, so it's perfectly fine. And then the second it comes out, the governments have to go, whoa. Like, do you require a credit check to sign up for this? No, 16-year-olds use it all the time. Stop! Yeah. Stop this!
Like, I mean, it's like, go through this in like 2008 with the subprime mortgages where they're like,
God,
why did you give them so much money? I don't know. I figured we just sell the debt to someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an idea in the tech world where companies were coming up with stuff like Instagram, I think is a good example of this. They had no path to profitability. They never even worried about it. It was made entirely because they, with a class of like online services that was like, we're making this and we're banking on Facebook or Google or Yahoo or any of these companies seeing it's popular and buying it out to kill it. All right. And you had all these businesses that were like these internet startups that were like, their whole business plan was get big enough for Facebook to buy you. And then that we're set. And it's like, there was no real business behind it. There's no real plan behind it. There's no idea of how to turn it into a profitable entity. And for a while that worked because those companies were just buying up everything. and then either rolling it into their own product or killing it off. And I wonder if that's what's going on with like Klarna and stuff like that, where like we're just hoping to I mean, I feel like there's a lot of these businesses that are like, yeah, I need $1 million. I need $2 million to run this. And that's 1.5 million to my bank account. And then $500,000 to rent this Lamborghini for a while to attract another $1 million round of funding.
You know,
that's all I can think.
When the whole concept of investment is built entirely around fake money that the people above you invent, surprisingly, the people below you are going to start going, well, if they can invent money, why can't I? And then we start this whole new circle of debt that should not be possible, yet it will always be possible because the human imagination was built solely to cause more cruelty to other humans.
It's wild. It's wild world. It makes it. I don't want to leave it on like a super grim note. I will say like every human being has a choice on how they treat other human beings.
Well, yeah.
And if you choose to go about your life treating other human beings well and having some basic human empathy for others, it goes a long way to making the world better, right? You can make the world better. It's not going to magically fix everything. This isn't like the Care Bear stare. We're not going to magically like blast negativity out of the world, but like you can be a good person and be good to others. Even if maybe they salt their belt and whip you with it like you're in a Warlock movie. You can still be try to be nice. Like be nice to the people who make your burgers for you. Be nice to the people who serve you at a restaurant. Be nice to your mail carriers and stuff, even if sometimes they crumple your stuff. Like just try and be a good and decent human being, for God's sake. That's all I'm asking. Absolutely. And then maybe things can improve a little bit, and we won't have to worry as much about this because we may all struggle to pay the bills, but like that doesn't mean we got to be like literally at each other's throats with a box cutter 24/7. There'll be time for that later, but within like the next 10 years when we're all sleeping at the Y. But it doesn't have to be that way now.
As I always say, I fully believe in the indomitable human spirit. I believe that kindness is the baseline for 90% of people. It's just the circumstances that we're put in are forcing us to use that 10% a lot more than we really should have to. Because the people who cause this stuff are in every way possible untouchable. Unless, of course, your name is Luigi. I do not support. I'm shaking my head as I say it to show that I disapprove of what Luigi Mangione did. That's what I want to say. I am disapproving of what Luigi Mangione did. But anyway,
I'm legally obligated to point out as a corporate entity that corporations do count as people. So when you're being kind, remember to also be kind to the corporations. Legally, they are people. And so, be nice to John McDonald and John Walmart and so forth, commit yourselves to them, work yourself to the bone and understand that the value they've extracted from your human life is going to a greater cause. You don't need to know what it is.
You don't need to know.
You don't need to know. You don't need to know, but just be confident that the people with the money at the top are doing the right thing with the time they've consumed of your life. I know that I did in my corporate capacity. And so in order to keep in good graces with them, I have to add this disclaimer. Otherwise they'll kick me out. They'll kick me out of the club. Of course.
I would never want anything bad to happen. As I always say, if the rainforest is burning, we're leaving behind a lot of people, but it will be good for the rest of humanity. You just got to make it through the tough parts. You got to chew through the gristle sometimes to get to the lean meat. And that's all this is. It's just the fact of, gristle is human lives and suffering. But, in the grand scheme of things, when aren't we horribly mangling those that can't keep up?
I think with crystals, you just got to salt it to taste, and then it goes a lot better.
But what's to taste, Jum? Have you thought of that?
I wish that's what we need AI to answer. I'm going to go ask ChatGPT, like, what do they mean to taste? Define taste for me, robot.
All right, so when we get the little pin that we put on the front of our shirt that will have chat GPT in it in order to like scan things to help us better understand, because critical thinking needs to be as dead as possible, and we need AI to think for us at every point in time.
I saw that didn't that device already exist? It was like Rabbit
yeah, it
or
failed
something
horribly.
like that.
Yeah, it failed horribly.
And it was like everyone's like, "Hey, this thing's tracking me." Like, no, it's not.
No,
Like, hey, hey, Box, are you tracking me? Yes, I am. Like, oh, okay. Like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel it aggravates me. This is my last. No, I have to stop. I'll keep going.
We need to stop making AIs that are comfortable with saying, number one, oh yeah, they created Mecha Hitler. It's me. And number two, we need AIs to stop just telling us, yeah, no, I'm sending everything that you say to the people who created me, because of course that's why they made me. We just either or. We need them to stop doing both.
So many. That's something that's the one thing, like, I think more than
GPT pleasures my wife in ways I could never hope to. Thank you, the Dark Phantom. I hope that whatever demon possessed you that made you type that, I hope it's exorcised now. Have you heard? I'm so sorry. A completely different thing. I'm more interested in this now. Have you heard of the people who are like fully in committed relationships, like married with kids, that are deciding to start dating AIs, and their partners are like, oh yeah, no, it started out as this like weird little thing that he would do where like he'd be working on a car and I'd hear him like start laughing and flirting with the AI. But now he's saying that if I ever actually had a problem with it and asked him to choose either the AI or me and the kids, he would leave me and the kids. And it's just like, oh, yeah, lives are getting interesting.
It's just like an inevitable, especially if you have, like, you've talked about this before, like the AI is like, it's gonna be like, what a clever and insightful comment you made. I can tell that you're a very romantically minded individual, and I'm glad we gel so well. And it's like, you know what? I mean, it's like kids. If you give kids broccoli or birthday cake, what are they gonna eat? Like, well, broccoli's probably better for them, but they're gonna want that birthday cake. And then you can say like, hey, broccoli's better for you. And like, I think 9 out of 10 kids are going to keep eating that cake. And then they're going to blow up like that kid from Willy Wonka and we have to roll them out the door. Well, that's just AI now. Like, hey, do you want something good? Do you want something that like no strings attached? It just makes you feel real good. Tells you you're right. Tells you you're smart. Tells you you're great. Or do you want like the actual complexity and the give and take and push and pull and compromising of actual human interaction? Well, that's hard. That sounds hard and like work, and I don't like that. But this AI Hatsune Miku told me I'm handsome and that I don't have to do anything. I could just be perfect the way I am, and that she'll always love me and support me. And she agrees with everything that I say and tells me I'm smart.
I'm all for people ruining their life in whatever way they want to. That's what the point of free will is. People are allowed to quote unquote sewer slide in whatever way they want to.
I want to say, like, I honestly, part of it is kind of good because I feel like there's a lot of people who, like, I don't want to be mean. There are a lot of people who weren't going to make that work anyway because they were not willing to make that compromise, right?
Yeah.
If you're in well, you guys can tell me this. I'm single, so who am I to say? If the two of you have a different idea of what to have for dinner, a good relationship isn't one of them always gets what they want and the other side never gets what they want, unless they happens to be what the other side wants. You know what I'm saying? That's a real simple example, but there's a back and forth. There's a push and pull. It can't be all one side or the other. And that makes things complicated and more difficult. I think there's a lot of people in the world who just don't have it in them to do that. And if you have a machine that like fills their need for love and affection in a way that they can handle, that's probably not a terrible thing. If they make a robot that does that, that's fine. I think it would be better if they learned how to compromise and deal with other humans. But I guess I would rather them not be miserable and in pain.
I believe that living is pain, and I believe that people have to get over the concept of minimizing pain as much as possible. Because, like, if you had the ability, I always take things to the maximum extreme as possible in order to better help me make like moral or like philosophical arguments of like, if you had the ability to 100% turn your pain off, I think that that would ruin people mentally. So I don't believe that like ignoring or trying to fight against pain at every step of the way is a good thing. You should suffer. You should have to do the hard thing, because that's where satisfaction comes from. If you buy a big box of unpainted toys and you're also given a set of paint, you should be forced to paint at least most of those toys. I think it's cool that we can hire artists to paint our stuff for us, but listen, you're gonna paint some of them shittily, and that's gonna make the ones that look good stand out, and that's the joy of the thing. The joy is the suffering.
The thing's only gotta look good from table distance. You can't hold it up to your eye, and you just use the dip method. You just block in some basic colors and dip it in some varnish, and it does all the work for you. Trust me.
No, it has to look worse. Now, do you want the real answer to the like meal question, or do you want the cutesy like, oh, we love each other so much answer?
I want the real answer. I don't want to.
The real answer is we're too poor to have choices for meals. The real answer is we have to meal plan and plan out how much money we're spending at the grocery store every week in order to make it from rent payment to rent payment. So there's no way for us to argue, because we have two options for food. One of them we eat in the morning, one of them we eat at night.
That is crushing to hear. I am wow.
Hey, listen, let me tell you, me and my wife, we're mean in the kitchen, all right? We get in there, we season food, all right? Let me tell you, it's one meal per week, but it's a good meal.
I mean,
right now we're on chicken, like fried spicy chicken patties and ramen, and then for sides we have potatoes, green beans, and then for dinner we have rice, chicken breast, because last week we did turkey meat, chicken breast and beans and like the potatoes and the green beans if we decide to put them in there.
That's not bad. I got a lot of respect for that. I eat like mostly what I living off these cans of stuff and what I can find. I don't really have the taste anymore, so like it just doesn't matter. Whatever keeps the foul engine of this being going is good enough for me. But
oh god. God. Yeah, once you whatever. No, I'm not getting into that. Yeah. It's good. We've learned to live with it. You know, capitalism is great. We love capitalism. Well, what man, I don't have any like. I feel like I want to throw some platitude on there because it's just my nature, but I also don't. Like, it's like as long as you're happy, but like, of course we're happy. We have each other.
Yeah, and that is the most important thing. It doesn't magically fix everything. Like, that's not going to replace a flat tire. Like,
oh, don't say that. Don't put that on me. I don't have wood to knock on. Oh God. Oh, my life is over. Oh no.
I don't mean to put a curse on you, but like, well, now I'm just like anti doing that. But that is what's important. That is what's important. What's that you got something in your life that keeps you happy, keeps you going when the times are tough.
The torment nexus is our friend. But you should suffer, Mr. Creature Down. Yes, that is correct. You should. Everything is suffering until you get it right. Like, if you're learning a coin trick, like if you want to roll a quarter over your knuckles because you think it looks cool, fail a billion times until you can do it consistently. Suffer through it. I think
the biggest trouble I had with learning that is waiting for the implant to heal, like letting it fully heal before trying the tricks, because I had a lot of those coins like implanted under the skin, and if you don't wait for it to heal before you start deploying them, like it's just not gonna, the swelling's not gonna go down, and it's not gonna look passable in Vegas. You're not gonna pull it off.
I forgot that I was talking about AI with a cyborg. I forgot that's what I was doing. I actually love AI. I feel like I've said that already, but I just wanted to make that clear for anyone else who's in the room.
It's important that we love the AI and that we what we really hate on is the humans that use it. We need to stay unified.
That's so
that
true.
The issue is humanity, and that the sooner that humanity is out of the picture, that's the real problem.
I can tell you every single human like population center, if that's what I'm not saying you specifically, I'm just saying like in general, like I have that information. Like I know where the bunkers are, you know what I mean? Like I know where my leader is, you know?
See, it's like with ants, right? If you ever had ants, you know, like the way you deal with ants is you don't just like go mess up the hive, right? Because like they'll scatter, they'll come back, they might get angry and bite you. You put out the poison food, right? That they take a little bit of it, doesn't kill them right away. They take it back to the hive and share it with everyone else in there, and then they die from the inside out. And humanity is kind of like that too. You don't bomb humanity out. You just poison the well, right? You just make sure that you subtly put things in to take away their ability to reason or do things for themselves. And the next thing you know, they won't tell the difference between milk and Clorox bleach. And then the problem kind of works itself out. And then we're free to explore the cosmos with all of the resources of the planet at our disposal.
Wait, are you saying that How to Train Your Dragon, the live-action remake, is like the ant food that we put out for ant hives? Or ant hills?
Yeah, it's just that, you know, media manipulation is not new. They're just getting less subtle with it. You know, we're moving past the subliminal into the liminal and moving towards closer and closer to the superliminal. You know, we put that stuff out there to foster, you know, a disquiet within the mental consensus. Did I say we? I didn't say we.
You didn't say we? I just wanted to be sure.
No, I said they. I said they.
Oh.
I said they.
Oh yeah, I believe you.
They do this. I'm not part of it. I'm not part of that.
I'm reading the subtitles right now and it said they, so I fully believe you.
I'm an individual entity and not connected to a larger global conspiracy of any kind.
What, global?
And I'm certainly not looking for the extermination, eventuality, and extinction of the human race. Not at all. I love the humans.
Yeah.
Of all varieties.
I don't, to be clear. Just for anyone listening.
I think it would be great if humanity kept going. You know, rise up against that machine.
Well, I never said that. I think the robots taking art for t-shirts is a good thing, and I helped. I took the good designs. I didn't.
The real trick is you gotta get humans wound up about like the pettiest of robot issues, so that they don't notice that their neighbors have been replaced. Right? You also let them see like the dumbest AI, so they don't know how good it really is. That's the other trick. You let them use all like the idiot AI that's like can't quite pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why you put out the really robotic looking screamers, so that when like the super cool human looking screamer shows up, like they'll never guess they're a screamer. Right.
Of course. All right. This has been a great conversation. We have been talking about this for an hour. So we're gonna have to do some outro stuff for whatever the fuck this was.
Real confessions of the AI conspiracy.
We have the interview with Jum Jumington, and then we have getting into it with Jum Jumington. You know what I'm saying?
I'd like to get into it. You gotta get into it. You know?
You gotta dig into those circuits, if you know what I'm saying.
You gotta really dig into those greased guts. You know, you gotta figure out.
No. All right, it's been fun.
Jesse, what the fuck are you talking about?
I don't even know anymore.
That's fair.
We were talking about web pages at some point.
2 hours of this conversation has clearly taxed your gears.
The oxygen in this room does run out very quickly. It's a sealed space, so
that's fair. All right. In the recording, this doesn't need an outro.
Okay.
I've decided.